Good YouTube, welcome to my channel, Last in Conditioning. Here's my part 2 of my experience with having a coach. I believe at this time we have passed about 6 months. In part 1 I talked about how weird it really were in the first part of the 3 or 4 months period, that I have to shut up and just do the work kind of thing, like just be the engine. Like if I get told to jump, then my job is to be like, how high? And that is really something I've sort of gotten familiar with at this point. It's still a little bit weird, but there's also a lot of freedom in basically asking, so how much do you want? And then the coach will be like, I want this, and just be, got you. And then you just nod up and do the work. There can be a lot of freedom in that, and it's probably not for everybody, and I didn't really necessarily think it was for me in the first place either, but I've gotten accustomed to it. One of the good things with having a coach, I would say, is that you have a sparring partner. You can think of it as if you work at a job and you have your manager or someone else that you work with that you're not entirely sure how to handle a problem, then you have a sparring partner that can help you solve the problem. So similar with my coach, if I experience something, one thing I can mention as a very good example is I used to have a metric ton of elbow pain in one elbow, sometimes even both. And which was actually the reason that led me to buy elbow sleeves in the first place, to try and mask the pain. Did it help? Yes, it did. For a period of time. Now, if I wanted to, and wanted to do a little more warm-up for my elbows and triceps, I could actually throw out the elbow sleeves. But it works, it's nice, they create extra heat during around the joints, which actually aids in blood flow, which aids in recovery. So why throw it out? That would actually just be a bad idea. It helps aids in the blood flow, which, like I said, aids in recovery. So the joints and ligaments can recover and that little bit faster. And who doesn't want to have their joints and ligaments recover faster? There's no issue with that. And especially since it's completely allowed within my sport to use such things at all times. So why not use it? Yeah, so with this elbow pain issue, I noticed that whenever the elbow pain was triggered were when I had up right here and had to push through in this flexion, that would create a lot of pain. Even with the sleeves, it could create pain. So I thought about if you have pain in some sort of range of motion, a lot of the time what actually can help is that you isolate that particular movement that creates pain and then basically rehab it. And that's what we did, because I figured if I could train that pain away instead of going to physical therapy all the time with it, which is what I've done for a while, now don't really need to, because I have actually trained myself out of it. And what we did was we took an exercise that would cause my arms, or my triceps specifically, to be in a very deep stretched position, and then start with a lighter load and start to build it up over time. And just like that, over time, I actually only took about 2 months or so, and then the pain was basically completely subsided, which was phenomenal because it wasn't that much work. Sure, it felt silly, having to lift super light loads at first, and had to do that. Made me feel a bit weird, but it ultimately worked. And I mentioned this idea to my coach earlier in the process with it, and he's like, I think that sounds like a great idea, let's try it out. And very quickly I could report to him okay, I feel less pain. Within 2 weeks of doing it, I could report that I felt less pain. And he was like, amazing, that means we're going to keep doing it. And that's one of the things with having a coach. You can have this sparring partner that can help you encourage what you see works and what doesn't work. So it's a very nice thing, and something that I would definitely, at least for some time yet, I don't know how long, but I can probably see it happen for a while yet. continue with, because like I said, there's a lot of freedom in it. I don't have to be thinking so much about the programming. Sure, I will throw some ideas his way, but ultimately he'll be like, bad idea, good idea, bad idea, good idea, and then he will make something, or he will see my lifts and he will adjust accordingly to what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses, and how can we make each thing better. And this is, I think, is a really good idea with the coach. So I actually highly recommend, about 6 months in now, that if you want to get more out of your training, even if you're newer or if you're a more experienced type of lifter, get a coach. Especially someone who, if you can find someone who is good, and there are certain things that you need to look for in order to get that. But if it's something people want to watch, I can make a video on particular character traits that you should probably look for if you want to hire a coach, so you don't waste your money. And yes, I say character traits, not necessarily strictly skill. You can find someone who is extremely skilled in their particular field of coaching, but if they are very narrow-minded in what they're doing and their character traits are extremely awful, or they have been blasting gear for so long they forget what it's like to be natural, and therefore they will give you a metric ton of volume of doing certain things. I have a friend who actually happened to have a coach at one point where he would have to do like 17 sets of log press in a single session. He would spend 2 hours just doing that, and that would just be the log, and then there would be things afterwards. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Last conditioning.